Welcome back to Redbirds on the Arch, everybody. My name's Aiden. I'm obviously with my two great buds, Tyler and Tyler. Whichever Tyler you think deserves to go first, you should probably put that Tyler there. But one of them's on the bottom of my screen. That one's Farmhands. I have one at the left of me. That's TZ. Like Farmhands always says, I'm going to take his quote. They're actually going to be to the left or right of me. I don't know which side they're going to be on, but they're going to be on one of those sides. But if you joined us for the live stream on Monday for the trade deadline, we really appreciate you guys for hopping in and just talking with us about the trade deadline and all that. We had a lot of fun, and we actually had a ton of views on it. I think we ended up getting almost
Over 10,000.
11K.
Yeah, almost 11K over 3 hours, which is crazy.
Yeah, like you don't know how appreciative we are of that. Also, shout out Jacob Odell. I mean, he treats us so well. Popping in again into a live stream. I mean, that dude just supports us like nobody else. So shout out him as well.
He was
and Chase's dad, Chase Heath's dad, also
yeah.
is in here all the time. Like shout out Scott. He's awesome too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we had a lot of great engagement. You know, people were commenting all the time. We were getting questions, and the trivia was fun. People were hopping in the comment section, doing the trivia. So it was just a really enjoyable time, wasn't it?
Absolutely. But all right, in this episode might be a little bit shorter than normal just because obviously we just had the live stream like we said on Monday. We also recorded a video the day before the live stream on Sunday, so obviously there hasn't been a whole lot between Sunday and now, which is Wednesday. So the plan is we'll talk about the trade deadline, just kind of recap it for anybody who wasn't able to hop in with us and would like to hear our thoughts. And then we might get into some other things, but let's just go ahead and hop right into how the trade deadline went for the St. Louis Cardinals. Before we go into each trade separately, I want to ask both of my fantastic co-hosts, what did you guys think of the Cardinals trade deadline overall? Do you think they did a really good job in the deals they acquired? And do you maybe feel like there was more they could have done, or do you think it's okay that they stood pat where they ended up staying at?
You want to go first, TZ?
Um, so I tweeted out I made 3 trades, and I kind of felt like Heim Bloom's 2 trades were just as good as my 3 or better. That's how much I like these trades.
I mean, that is his job.
Yeah, and I try not overvaluing sometimes, and I feel like that
Mm-hmm.
could hurt me in some trades, and when Bloom has the ability to maybe start with the value I am at and then have people outbid each other and it just raises the price. So that helps him a little bit. But I really liked all 4 prospects we got. Last year we got I don't even know how many, but it kind of felt like there was 2 players in every trade. I liked one and the other one I didn't really like. But this year, I liked all 4. I think they all got very high potential. I expect all of them to be here at some time in St. Louis. Um, it was just a fun trade deadline for real. And I know we all expected a catcher to be traded. I just think that's kind of a hard trade to make at the trade deadline. Usually, you don't see players with that kind of control left traded at the trade deadline. That's more of a off season move, just like Donovan was an off season move. He wasn't a trade deadline and all just stuff like that. So I thought it was very good. I had fun.
Yeah, and something I want to add for people who don't know, and we'll get into this later, it's 4 players right now, but it'll likely turn 5 in the
It will
off
turn
season.
5.
It will turn
Yeah.
5. They got a player to be named later. It's likely somebody from the 2026 MLB draft class. When you draft somebody, you're not able to trade them within that same season, but once the off season starts, they're able to be moved. Hein Bloom's already told us that he knows who the player is, but he did not tell us who it is. He just knows or has an idea of who the guy is. So
So that means it is a 2026
yeah,
draft
yeah,
pick,
that pretty much guarantees it.
and not a player to be named later already in their system, and they're just looking through it because they wouldn't know if it was someone that they were just like looking through the system and looking at him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you guys think that player knows?
probably.
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
That would be
my
kind
guess
of.
would be that they're
Go ahead.
totally like shutting him down or whatever because they don't want him to get injured and then jeopardize the trade. So
Yeah. Yeah, but anyways, that was a little off topic, but I just wanted to clarify that. Farmhands, what are your thoughts?
it was a good trade deadline, right? Like the Brewers deal was, I mean, just crazy compared to what we thought was going to happen, right? Like I think when you looked at how the market was shaping up, and I said this in Locked On Cardinals, it wasn't shaping up very good for the Cardinals when you looked at other deals around the league. I mean, Kevin Gausman, who was kind of a similar trade piece to Dustin May, maybe a little bit better. He only got like 2 top 15 prospects, and both were not like top 10 guys from the Chicago Cubs. It's like you're like, what does that get you, Dustin May? But then, I mean, as soon as he heard the Brewers, like my confidence in what Chaim Bloom was going to get instantly spiked up because like you can get the Brewers 20 and 25th prospect, and that's probably 2 top 15, top 20 prospects in your system because of how good the Brewers system is. So as soon as I heard the Brewers were in the trade, I my confidence gained in terms of what we were going to get back. And then the Diamondbacks deal, like we don't know what Newbar's value is going to be after the season and into the offseason with the uncertainty of the CBA and stuff. So I mean, move him now. You got a solid return. You maybe I don't know. You could have maybe got a little bit better, but like again, there's a ton of uncertainty around the trade and that next year of control. So it's like cash out while you get a solid trade. Like it's not like a blow your socks out of the water trade. It's probably like a a solid B, maybe like a B minus type of trade. But like at least you're getting something because you might not get anything at the off season if you want to trade him. So I thought both deals were good, and everybody thought Stanek was going to get moved, but he has that $6 million club option next year that the Cardinals can exercise without, him even being in the conversation. But he seems to like St. Louis, and I think they would have brought him back anyways or attempted to bring him back. So, like, keeping him, having someone in the bullpen, because this team is, while they sold, they're not so far out of it that you don't want to, like, just totally wipe their chances. Like, you want to at least give them something. So, bring in Caleb Ferguson from the left side to kind of shore up that depth. Like, Chaim Bloom sold without, totally giving this team a non-zero chance of, maybe going on some sort of run here in the second half. So I was pretty impressed with the deadline, and I thought he did good in the 2 deals he actually did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I guess technically we can go over the Caleb Ferguson trade. We probably should. But yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you guys. I think both deals, in terms of the selling ones, made a lot of sense. I even think the one trade they made where they actually bought, I think also made a lot of sense for not only the bullpen, but, kind of giving your guys an extra boost of like, hey, like, I'm not totally abandoning you guys. Like, I'll bring something in. But, I mean, overall, I said this in my article on Cardinals prospects. If you guys haven't read it and you want a better understanding of who these players are that we acquired, go read that article. I promise you, I tried and explaining them as best as I possibly could. But yeah, go read that if you haven't yet. In my article, I ended up giving the overall trade deadline a B+. I thought the names they got back were really good, with obviously the Milwaukee trade giving them a higher grade just because that one has a bunch of high upside in it. But I did say that I think the grade could be shifted into like an A-, just because if that player to be named later from the draft ends up being some kind of impactful draft pick.
Yeah, like if it's like a 2nd to 5th round type of guy, not like a 10th to 20th round guy, like that totally changes the grade on what that probably is.
Yeah. So it would probably go up to like an A- overall, because then you essentially got another draft pick in the top 5, right? So if it ended up being like a 5th round pick. So, I mean, just really good job by Chaim Bloom and his staff in the front office. But let's get into the individualized trade. So obviously we waited hours for Chaim Bloom to make his first deal on deadline day.
He did right when we started the live stream.
Wait,
very much.
we didn't wait hours. He waited hours for us to start.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we were literally sitting in the studio room getting ready to go live, and
So
I
we're gonna
think
go
it
live in
had
like 15 minutes.
yeah, and I think it had just broke that they were being traded, and we started as soon as we saw that. But it was probably 2 o'clock, 2:15 ish
Yeah,
when
2:15ish when it dropped because
yeah,
I mean we were like literally like 15 minutes before
yeah.
2:30. So
So 2:15 hits. We get a report from Ken Rosenthal that the Cardinals were trading Dustin May and Jojo Romero to the Milwaukee Brewers in exchange for two prospects from the Brewers. That it was their 11th, I believe, Frias, and then their 13th prospect. I'm blanking on his name. Josiah Ragsdale. Two prospects with unbelievable upside. I know right now on the Cardinals MLB pipeline list, Frias comes in as their fourth best prospect, and I believe Ragsdale comes in at 10.
Yep.
I know on Cardinals prospects, we have Ragsdale fifth, and
we have them basically swapped. And
Frias 11th, and I think on my own personal, on my personal, Ragsdale was fourth. Frias was 11th. Have you included them in your top 30 yet, Farmhands?
No,
Okay. Well, we'll have to ask you later because I think that's going to be pretty important because obviously a lot of us value what you think about prospects. But let's just go straight into one player at a time. What did you guys think of Alexander Frias when we first acquired him? I'm going to start with Farmhands on this one just because I remember when we were looking at names, I remember that was instantly a guy that caught Farmhand's attention, and he was like, this is a guy that I think the Cardinals would absolutely adore.
I mean, you look at all the young international talent the Cardinals have added in their system. I tweeted today, there's 6 guys, 19 or younger, in the Cardinals system right now that are from the international that I believe are top 30 prospects. You obviously have Frias, who they just added. You have Yoiker Fajardo, who they added in the offseason. Then you have Padilla, Miguel Hernandez, Rainiel Rodriguez, obviously being the number one prospect and one of the best prospects in baseball, and Sebastian Dos Santos. Can't forget the breakout there this year. So, the Cardinals have just kept adding these international talents, and when you see Frias, it's like this guy's got ridiculous bat speed for his age. That's why you can see exit velocity is up to 117 miles an hour, because there's a lot of bat speed. The hit tool is actually pretty decent even for his age. There's a lot of chase in the game, so there's some, but he doesn't whiff as much as you would think for the chase. You'd think with a guy with this much chase, there's probably a ton of whiff in his game and a ton of strikeouts, but he actually limits the strikeouts pretty well, even if he does swing out of zone a lot. But I think that approach will continue to refine as he ages. He's been on a lot of top 100 lists mainly because of this potential, right? There's just a ton of potential, and this guy, he's risky, right? He could become a non-prospect here in 2 or 3 years, or he could look up in 2 or 3 years, and he could be a top 15 prospect in baseball and a junior Caminero type of prospect. So there's risk there, but I think there's the upside to become, a very special player in St. Louis and someone that can be a middle of the order bat. Chaim Bloom even said that. This is a guy who can be a middle of the order bat in the future.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's just amazing that one of the first things we saw was just at 18 years old, he's already got a 117 max exit velocity. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous for the age he is. I mean, that is ultra rare for anybody that age. Mm-hmm. And I think Farmhand nails it here. I mean, he's a high upside prospect who has a lot of pop. Obviously, he's got to fix some of the plate discipline. I don't think the whiff numbers are, I wouldn't say they're bad, but they could use some improvement, right? I think what I'm most concerned about is his swing definitely gets flat at times. He hits more ground balls than I'd like, which doesn't allow that power to play. I think if you can fix that a little bit in some of the mechanics, I think you're going to see a guy who can get into that 25, 30 home run power potential if he can just get better at not only just getting balls in the air, but getting balls to the pull side, right? I mean, he was one of the lowest percentages in terms of pull side fly balls.
And if you look at his chart, I'll just say this: if you look at how he's done throughout the year, he started really bad when it came to that pulled fly ball and barrel stuff. Yeah. But as he started to go throughout the season, he's steadily increased that every month. Where he had a big spike here in July of like getting the ball in the air and starting to hit more fly balls. So there is some confidence that the Brewers were starting to fix that, and hopefully the Cardinals, they've done a great job with the hitting, just all around in the system this year that they can help him, continue that trend upwards.
Yeah, and listen, he's 18 years old.
Yeah.
Like, he's got so much time to fix certain aspects of his game, and I think the Cardinals can do it. I mean, these aren't concerns that we have to, worry so much about right now because of his age. Like, it's okay to give him grace because he is 18 years old.
Hmm.
So, that's a big thing. But in terms of defense, like, he's going to profile as a corner guy. He's not going to stick in center. He's not super fast, not super athletic. At least I don't think. Has a
Yeah,
good arm though. We've
good
we've
arm.
seen we've seen that arm in the minors. He's thrown out a decent amount of runners, so he'll probably profile in right field. But I think he'll be good enough for that spot. So TZ, what are your thoughts on him?
Would you think he's like a new bar athletic type, like athleticism
He's
type?
definitely more he. I've watched some video of him, and he's definitely better looking out there than like a Jordan Walker. Like it's not
Yeah,
nearly as clumsy out there as Jordan Walker, but like there just isn't the raw speed there to be like a true center field type. Even though they're going to try him in center field throughout the lower minors.
yeah. He kind of he's kind of like the guy I was looking for in my Dustin May trade. If you guys remember, if the everyone listening remembers, I was trying to get Tomas from the Cubs, who was 18, I think, and just a very high upside type of player. And that's kind of just what he reminds me of. It's just awesome that we got him and another guy that's maybe even better.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts on Frias, or are you guys pretty good on which?
I'll say I think it's a little aggressive, and it shows up in our Cardinals prospects in your personal list. Like these top 100 list having him on there already is. I know people are making a big deal of that because it is impressive, but I don't feel like in terms of raw talent right now he's a top 100 prospect in the game. I think that's more of
Yeah,
a future projection thing than where he's currently at. So if he
Yeah,
does have some struggles, just know like this guy isn't like a Rainiel Rodriguez type of guy where I would expect him to just outperform every single thing at every level for the next 2 years.
yeah.
yeah, I'm with you on that.
I like that you guys flipped the two in your guys' rankings. I haven't seen the rankings, but you said that earlier.
Yeah, so I guess that's the perfect
Segue.
switching point to Josiah Ragsdale. That's the second piece the Cardinals acquired in the Dustin May and Jojo Romero trade. TZ, I'm
Yeah.
going to start with you on this one. What are your thoughts on Ragsdale? I know as we continue to do research, it felt like more and more that Ragsdale kind of seemed like that headliner piece in this trade. What are your thoughts on Ragsdale, TZ?
Well, he's got over a what is that? 1100
OPS.
OPS and double A already. So, I mean, that's exciting. Our Farmhand said our outfield in Springfield, what was it? Ty Pete,
Cho.
Ragsdale, and
One
who?
Bin Cho.
Wanbin Show. So it just
And
seems like
and they all have like over 1,000 OPS or over 900 OPS at the level. So
yeah, so that's fun. And I felt like our outfield depth has been kind of thin over the past couple years, but right now it doesn't feel like that anymore. Because it used to feel like after Baez, there was kind of a step down, but um, all those guys in Double A now seem really good. Chase Davis seems to be having a better season. I know I'm getting off the beaten path here, but uh, just two fun, exciting prospects. I like both of them. I was surprised Aiden gave trade deadline a B plus. To be honest, I thought that was kind of low. I went A minus.
Yeah, I mean, I only went B plus because obviously Frias is still super risky and questionable, right? Like There's still a
Yeah.
lot he needs to improve, but again, like, got to give the benefit of the doubt. He's 18. You know, there's still plenty of time to work with him. But again, like, very risky for being in the low level minors. He's 18. There's stuff he's got to work on. So I think, and I think there's even questions with somebody like, and we'll get into it later, Daniel Egan. Like, I think there's questions there still too. So,
I mean, there's questions with every prospect. Like,
yeah,
you're just not
exactly.
gonna. If there was no questions to the prospect, it wouldn't be a prospect.
Then they wouldn't. Yeah,
They'd be in
or
the
they
majors.
wouldn't even be traded, right? Like,
Yeah,
they would just go through the system they're in. But
Yeah.
Farmhands, what are your thoughts on Josiah Ragsdale?
I mean, this is probably the highest helium prospect, or one of the highest helium outfield prospects in all of minor league baseball, right? Like over an 1100 OPS on the year, or over an 1000 OPS, over an 1100 OPS at Double A. I mean, he's kind of done the Jesus Baez thing at Double A, hasn't he? Where he's just hit a bunch of home runs at the level and has been just kind of insane. And you just kind of look at what the Brewers have done with him development wise. Like, he went from a guy who was a lot of contact, not much power, to a guy who, is now smoking the ball, pretty consistently to the pull side, which is something the Cardinals love, and they've, even kind of embraced, especially at the Double A level. So I mean, he's really high upside guy who's got 30 stolen bases, 31 stolen bases on the year, 20 doubles, or it's like 22 doubles, and 19 homers. So he's almost going to have a 20-20-30 season, which is, really, really impressive. He's really fun. Guy that can play center field, really good speed, as the 31 stolen bases would show. The routes are kind of weird, but the speed makes up for the routes. So it's like, this is a guy who probably is the best center fielder in the Double A rotation, even though Cho and Ty Pete themselves are good center fielders. So it's going to be a really good defensive outfield, really good offensive outfield, and I'm just, this is a guy who, it doesn't take much to project on him being some sort of major league contributor.
Yeah, and I kind of want to go back on your point. Like, he's legitimately changed his profile. I mean, last year we're probably looking at a guy who I would argue is a 60 hit tool, maybe 40, 45 power grade, right? And this year I would argue he's probably a 50 hit tool and a 55 power guy. I mean, he's increased his max exit velocity from 105 to 111. He's now got 90th percentile exit velocity in that 76th percentile range, which I think puts him in like 105, 106 territory.
His old max just became his 90th, and he just increased his max by like 6-7 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly. And the contact rates aren't bad. Like I think they're fine. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously they could use some improvement. Like, you'd always would like a guy who could hit you 20 home runs, but also run like a 90% contact rate, right? Like, that would be the dream, but it's just really hard to find somebody like that. But I think what makes him most valuable is he's a guy who's going to stick up the middle, right? Like, Frias isn't going to stick up the middle, but Ragsdale has the ability to. Now, that might change. It might. I mean, we can be honest. But I think he's more likely to stick there because, like you said, Farmhands, he's a plus-plus runner, like super fast. I was listening to Kyle Reese earlier today. He was talking about how he remembers watching him play earlier this year, and he watched him track a ball into the gap when he played center field one day for the Timber Rattlers when Payne had a day off. And he was just super impressed. So, like you said, the routes aren't necessarily clean, but the speed and I think the athleticism he does have makes up for that. So just really good value for an up-the-middle guy, good bat, really good speed, decent amount of defensive profile there. Really great trade. Just an overall great trade. I mean, the Cardinals got a ton of high upside here. Heinblum, I think it's fair to say, it feels like they fleeced the Brewers. Yeah. I mean, when you have pretty big organizations who really value prospects and really evaluate them, and they even say, like, the Cardinals did a tremendous job here, they obviously did something right, because you can't argue that. TJ Stats said this is a crazy deal. What is it, JJ Cooper, I believe he said that was also a great deal for the Cardinals. I mean, just so many outlets said what a great job they did.
It's hard not to project at least one of these guys, if not both of these guys, being some sort of major league contributor. Like, it'd be pretty shocking if neither of these guys made the major leagues and had some sort of impact.
Yeah, I agree. They feel like they're going to be top 100 prospects at some point soon. Like it really does. Like, they've got that kind of upside. But That's the Milwaukee Brewers trade that the Cardinals made with them. We go on to a more shocking trade. Obviously, everybody knew like Lars Nootbaar was on the block. It was just more of a question of, will it actually come to fruition? A lot of people were questioning, like, is he going to get that value that the Cardinals really think he has? Obviously, because there were questions with the 2027 season. Is it going to be delayed? Are there even going to be any games? Which obviously that could ruin his value in itself. But I thought the Cardinals did a really good job in getting value for Lars Nootbaar, who technically I think could be viewed as a rental piece. So let's get into that. I'll start with Tyler here. Daniel Egan
Tyler.
is sorry, farmhands. I'll give it to farmhands here. Either Tyler. You know what I meant. I looked at Tyler and I said Tyler, but there's two Tylers. Oh, jeez.
Oh,
So
yeah, we can tell who you're looking at.
farmhands. We'll start with Tyler, the farmhand.
The uglier Tyler. Okay.
Wow. That's crazy.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Daniel
I
Egan,
see you.
he was ranked 5 on MLB Prospect in the Diamondback system. I believe he's 17 on Cardinals Prospects, and he's 16 on my list. Thoughts on Daniel Egan?
He's interesting, right? Like, it's a unique profile, and what really intrigues me is that this is not a guy that, like, when you look at what the Cardinals do in terms of pitching wise, it's a lot of low slot guys who try to get low release height so they can get really good VAs in the top of the zone. And this guy is kind of the exact opposite. It's a really tall release height, or not release height, but it's a really tall arm angle. He kind of gets from over the top. It allows that pitch to get like 20 IVB. And then it allows him to have 2 breaking pitches that are, pretty close to the center line. He's got like this curveball that goes arm side instead of glove side, so it's like a backwards curveball. That's pretty fun in the low to mid 80s. And then he's got the slider, which is kind of like a gyro pitch, high 80s. And then you just tinker with that splitter that, I think could be really fun, but it hasn't developed yet. But when you look at what the Cardinals do with kick changes and splitters, like, it's been pretty impressive. So, I mean, this is a guy who's just super interesting. He gets a ton of chase, which makes his walk rate not that high, even though he doesn't throw that many strikes. It's just a really interesting profile, and somebody that gives almost an exact opposite profile of what the Cardinals like, or not like, but have targeted here in the recent past.
Yeah, I mean, that's very interesting that they went in this direction. A lot of scouts value Egan's just prowess and the kind of prospect he is. I remember during the live, I said he kind of reminds me of Trey Savage. High release height. I think some of the mechanics are the same. I don't think the fastball is nearly as good as what Savage's is.
It doesn't have the velo, really.
It doesn't have the velo, and I think there's a little less vert on it. Just because I think it's sitting around like 20 right now, and obviously as you get to the MLB ball, it's probably going to sit more around like 18. But he'll still get up to 20 at times. But, I mean, the 2 breaking pitches are the bread and butter pitches, right? I mean, we're talking, in my eyes, the slider is definitely plus in my eyes. I think the curveball is also plus. The slider's more gyro-like, but it also goes a little arm side sometimes, so I guess you could say it kind of backs up a little bit, but I think it's a really fascinating pitch. And then the curveball's like screwballish in a way, like I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of goofy looking when you watch it like on video, but it's also like super fun at the same time. And I think he knows he gets chase on it, so I think that's part of the reason why his strike percentage, like at least in zone, isn't as high, because he knows he can get chase on it. But I mean, the fastball kind of reminds me of like Fajardo, right? There are questions about the fastball. Is it going to perform when he gets to the higher levels? I think it's going to perform. Kyle thinks the opposite of me. He doesn't think it will perform as well as Fajardo. I think it might perform a little bit better, especially if he can stay down in the zone. But I think he could add a sinker. I know you've said that multiple times, Farmhands. I think he should do that. He throws a splitter. I think the Cardinals could do really amazing things with that pitch. I think it could become a pitch that's a little more reliable than it is now, which I think would just elevate his whole profile as a whole. So I think they should really try and make the splitter a better pitch. I think they should try and add a sinker while also keeping the fastball. I think the fastball does add something at least, even though it kind of gets crushed. I mean, I think it's fair to say that it's a pitch that gets crushed. Guys kind of seem to tend to sit on it just because the breakers are that good. But again, I was shocked they gave up Daniel Egan. I was really excited to see that that was somebody we got back in return. TZ, what are your thoughts?
Uh, well, he's got 109 strikeouts in 87 innings. I mean, you can't ask for much more than that from a guy in Double A. I remember when we were breaking down the trade, uh, we were trying to think of who it was, and I was over there. I looked at the D-backs farm system. I was like, man, I really like Daniel Egan. I was like, but he's ranked number 5. I was like, is that too high? I was like, I almost feel like that's too high, but it happened to be him. And then also, like, I know we're gonna get into him. They said Santana, and it was the wrong Santana. I was like, I bet you it's this guy, Sandro Santana. I was like, man, he looks really good. So I kind of guessed both of them. So that was kind of cool. But I really like Daniel Egan. I think he should at least be in AAA by the start of next year, probably at least close to it.
Yeah.
Maybe, possible.
Just depending on the depth, like maybe he's log jammed back in Double A, but
I
if
mean,
so, he
they
should
got
be
so
one
many
of the first
starters right
up.
now that it's kind of crazy where everyone's going to be by next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And who knows, they might even add one back, like maybe Dustin May comes back or somebody else just for like some insurance.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really like Daniel Egan. He's like I said, I liked all 4 players, and he's just another great one. Does he ever make it here and does good? Maybe, maybe not, but it looks fun and promising.
Yeah, and then TZ said earlier we also received left-handed pitcher Sandro Santana. He's pitched out of the bullpen in Arizona's farm system, but I think it's fair to say he's been pretty lights out so far. I believe his ERA's in the twos, like low twos,
Like,
and
I
it's
think it's
below one.
2.14.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
below one right now at
0.57.
Double A. So obviously he's doing something right. Obviously, uh, the fastball is a decent pitch. Throws from a lower three-quarter slot, sits 95 to 97, though he's touched 98 multiple times. Um, it's more of a
Slider.
swing and miss pitch because of the velo. I don't think the movement's fantastic, but because he obviously throws it a little bit harder, that's what helps the fastball get some kind of whiff on it. But obviously, I mean, the slider's his go-to pitch. I mean, that is a plus pitch. It's a sweepy slider, throws it decently hard. I, gets a ton of swing and miss, especially against lefties. He also gets a ton of swing and miss against righties, but he seems to be super effective against lefties, and it's for obvious reasons. Like I said, low arm slot, obviously the really good slider. Farmhands, give us a little more in depth evaluation of Santana.
So he's short, so that kind of helps when you combine that with the 3/4 arm slot. Even though the movement's not great, I don't obviously have the stats right on me right now, but I'm guessing that pitch enters the zone at a pretty decent VAA for the fastball, even though it's 95, 96, 97 range. So
Hmm.
when you combine that with the velo, I think that pitch is going to be a little more effective than maybe even the pipeline grade gives it. And then obviously the sliders, the sweeper's like just sick. I mean, it's just that's going to be his bread and butter. Everything that he does with the fastball is going to be to set up that pitch. And honestly, given he's 21 years old, he's already in Double A as a reliever. Like the walk rate's like 10%, which is really survive. I think that's pretty manageable for a reliever. At this level, at this age, like I think that projects to get better. So I think overall, like this is a guy who has two. I think the fastball's average, the slider's obviously plus plus, and then you combine that with pretty decent command. I think this is a guy who probably projects to get up to the major league bullpen. In 2027, maybe early 2028 at the latest, assuming he stays in the bullpen role. I mean, there is some chance that the Cardinals might stretch him out and try to make him a starter, but like with how many starters they have, I
Yeah.
wouldn't also be shocked if they just kept him in a bullpen role.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like they need a prospect who just sits in that reliever role that they know they could throw into the bullpen, and I
Yep.
think Santana's kind of that guy now. Obviously, you promoted Gastelum. He's going to head off the top prospect list soon because he's going to graduate from it. So I think Santana's kind of like that next guy, has that plus trait that the team's really going to like, and they're probably going to value more in the bullpen than they will as a starter. But TZ, that's another guy that, like you said, you had mentioned when the trade first broke. Give us your thoughts on Santana. Obviously, he's been a baller.
Well, that was the thing I like about him is kind of what you just said is he's a reliever. We have a lot of starting depth, but as you can tell in our major leagues, by our major league team, our bullpen is not good. So I really liked acquiring a bullpen arm and to acquire. I don't know those double A stats, but I would guess this guy's one of the best in double A. I mean, to have an ERA at like around .5 and that's pretty dang good. And I mean, he's got a few saves on the year. Um, that's another thing we are kind of missing because I like Riley O'Brien, but I don't know if he's a future closer. I almost feel like he's more of a setup man. So if this guy could be a closer, and I know I said jokingly, but he's not a Chapman. But if he could be our Chapman and O'Brien's setting him up, that would be really cool. It's just one of the biggest needs of this team. So happy to see it.
Yeah, and I think what makes Santana so versatile is not only can he face both lefties and righties, he's a guy who could give you more than an inning if you need it. He's a guy who could give you 1 1/3, 1 2/3,
Yeah.
maybe 2 innings.
He
There's
has
a
done
lot of
that.
value with that, so I think that's something that also makes him super valuable. Tyler, or oh my gosh, I did it again. Farmians, do you have any more thoughts you want to give on Santana? Maybe let's do this. Player to be named later. I know you and I went super, super heavy on the draft this year. We'll probably do that again next year because we had a lot of fun. I don't know if you know a lot of names that were picked up by the Diamondbacks in that draft. Are there any names that intrigue you that could be that player to be named later?
I, I'm going to assume that they wouldn't give up their second round pick, Carson Kearse. That would be like the dream scenario, right? Like he's just a really good baseball player
Yeah.
out of Georgia Tech. I think a guy like their fifth rounder, a Mizzou guy, Missouri guy, Josh McDevitt, has a lot of things that they like. I was talking earlier about Egan having that really high release height. Well, McDevitt's one of the guys that's really low release height. Fastball enters top of the zone, a really good VAA, throws a couple decent breakers off of it. Solid command, was kind of the ace of that Missouri pitching staff this summer for the SEC, or the spring for the SEC. So, I mean, I think he'd be really interesting. He was their fifth rounder, so that kind of seems more in the range of possibilities.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think another name that intrigues me would be Carson Turnquist from Cal Poly.
Yeah.
I know that's a name that has kind of intrigued us. I'm trying to look up what round he was drafted. Looks like seventh.
Seventh? Yeah.
So he's kind of also in that range that I think is a possibility. Anywhere from like that 5 to 10 range seems super possible to me.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that's another name that really intrigues me. That's another pitcher. Huge guy, 6'5", listed as 235. I mean, just an absolutely huge build. TZ, I mean, I can throw it to you unless you don't feel comfortable with.
I wish the player to be named later was from the Phillies. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah, okay. I already know where that's going. Whatever, dude.
Yep. I won't say the name. If you listen to the live stream, you know.
You know.
Is it their 11th rounder by chance?
Yeah, it is.
Maybe the Phillies' 11th rounder. My favorite player in the draft.
If you're curious who that is, go look up the Phillies' 11th round draft pick, and it's not because TZ thinks he's
good.
got the greatest stuff. He's just got a great name, and that name alone makes him a great pitcher. So
he's got good stuff too.
I totally understand where that's coming from. It's a grade A name, I will say. Boys, is there anything else you want to talk about in this episode that you want me to bring up? Do you want me to bring up how the teams played, or?
Yeah, let's talk about.
You know what? Let's actually. I think this is what we should talk about. We should talk about some of the call-up decisions that the big league team will need to make. Obviously, Quinn Mathews was optioned to AAA. I think it was a little surprising based off of how well I thought he performed in his MLB debut. But at the same time, I think farmhands will agree with me on this. It always felt like Hunter Dobbins was going to get that first opportunity to get a full-time starting role.
Yeah, he'd been just sitting there all year, just waiting for that opportunity. And I think one of the underrated things about this is now we don't have to worry about the whole 40. When Quinn is eligible to come back, he won't have to worry about the whole 45 days on the active roster thing, and he'll keep his rookie eligibility. But like you're not going to complicate the whole innings and days thing with him now. So, I mean, if they want to call him back up as soon as that 15 days is over, like they can, and everything will be good. So, I always saw Hunter Dobbins though getting that first shot. I mean, he didn't have very many options left, so like you pretty much had to keep him if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And he's earned it. Like he pitched really well last night against
Yep.
the Yankees. What was it, 6.1 innings or something like that? Only 2 runs. Offense didn't do much behind him to really help him out,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think Hunter Dobbins deserves it. He's been really good at the major league level when he has got the chance, and now he's getting his full-time chance, and it kind of feels similar to Michael McGreevy last year. So
Yeah, it's something I posted on Twitter yesterday. This was Hunter Dobbins' second quality start since his first start since being recalled on July 22nd. He threw a quality start against the Angels. Then I think he went 6 against the Cubs, but he gave up 4, so that took him out of the quality start. But again, another pretty good start for Hunter Dobbins against what I would call a good Cubs lineup. And then obviously gave you the quality start last night against the New York Yankees, which Caleb Ferguson helped him out a little bit there in that 11th, or sorry, not 11th inning, in that 7th inning,
Yeah.
6th inning, whatever it was, 6th, 7th inning.
7.
Did really well there. But is there any moves you would make in terms of calling people up to the big leagues to give an MLB debut, maybe to stick there longer? I know there's debate on Joshua Baez, whether it's time for him to call up, or do you wait those 15 days or whatever that's left? Same with a guy like Bernal.
I mean, Baez, right? Like the flashing red lights, like the arrow pointing there, like it just makes too much sense at this point, right? Like you got rid of Nootbaar. Torres is fine outfielder if you want to keep him there the rest of the year. It might give you a better chance to win than Joshua Baez, but like Joshua Baez getting the MLB experience, even if he's not 100% ready, is super valuable. And he's already on the 40 man, so it's not like you're having to complicate anything with that. Like I'd be almost shocked if Joshua Baez isn't playing left field for the St. Louis Cardinals, on August 15th or a few days within that time period.
Yeah. That's kind of where I have him coming up. Is especially like we were just looking at the lineup for tonight's game and we were like, man, this looks rough. I mean, in their defense, Jordan Walker's out of it again, so that's hard to make up. Like you take Jordan Alvarez out of the Astros lineup, and I'm sure it looks just as rough as this. But um, yeah, Joshua Baez is one I expect to come up. I really wanted to see Quinn Mathews, as you guys know, stay, but realistically, it does make sense to keep him down because you got to have depth, and he's probably the only other guy you trust to make starts right now. So they're probably not going to move Libby to the pen no matter how much we want because we need that depth piece, and that's Quinn Mathews right now. Hunter Dobbins did his time, waited his turn, just like McGreevy did last year, and now it's his turn, and Dobbins has looked really good for us this year. Every time he pitches, I feel like he gets in trouble like one inning, like allows a home run or something, but he seems to always bounce back and he looks very calm and collective out there. And I think that's been one of his best traits out there this season. So good on him.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with both of you on this. I will say I do think Leonardo Bernal's gonna get a debut of some sort this year. Whether he stays with the team, long term in terms of the rest of the year, I'm not sure about. But I do think he's played so well that it feels almost unfair and unjust to not give him an MLB debut. I mean, I literally just made a post this morning. Since May 1st, which is 60 games for Leo Bernal, he's got a 141 WRC plus, 948 OPS, striking out just 18%, walking 12%, 12 home runs, .246 ISO, and he's also caught 31.4% of base stealers this year. I just don't know what else he has to do to get a debut. Now, I know obviously the catching situation's a little shaky right now because nobody was traded at the deadline in terms of the catching depth. But eventually, you've got to give Bernal a debut. I mean, it's only fair in my eyes. Farmhands, I mean, I'm giving this to you because I even said this in this post. I kind of made it a little thread. I put a second piece on there. I said, shout out Farmhands. This guy, since I started watching more in-depth minor league baseball, which started last year, that's when I created my brand. Thanks to guys like Tyler, thanks to guys like Kareem, thanks to guys like Kyle, other people. Farmhands has been one of those guys where when I first started getting in, I was like, is it Crooks? Is it Bernal? Like, who's the guy you value a little bit more? And from day one, Farmhands has been on that Leonardo Bernal train, and he's been nails up to this point. Obviously, things can be different at the major league level, because obviously it's a whole different level, but Farmhands has been on this guy since day one when I've been talking to him.
I mean, I just love Leo Bernal's consistency. I've always loved how he goes about the game. Like, the guy doesn't cut corners. He doesn't do anything really bad. Like, he just kind of does everything well, and I think that's going to serve him in St. Louis, when he eventually gets there, because, like, if he's not hitting for power, he's not going to strike out. So, I mean, he might hit for average, or, he's at least going to give you a chance to do something, because, that's one of the biggest complaints with Crooks is when he's not going well, he's also striking out 30% of the time. And that's not something Leonardo Bernal is going to do. Like, he's going to take his walks. He's going to, maybe strike out at his peak 24, 25% of the time max, I think. Obviously, weird things can happen, but barring any sort of approach changes for him, I don't think he's going to be a guy who strikes out a ton. So he's at least going to give you a chance there. And then if he's not going offensively, he's going to be solid as a rock defensively. Like, he won a Gold Glove in the minor leagues. He's going to catch base stealers. I think he's a better framer and better blocker than some outlets give him credit for. I think he's just really solid behind the plate, and he's growing each year. And he's only 22 years old at AAA and already putting up these type of stats. So, like, this is a young star that he started off the season rough, and a lot of places took him off the top 100 list. But I think this guy is a top 100 prospect in all of baseball, one of the top prospects in the Cardinals system.
Yeah.
And I think that's a totally fair eval. I really do. TZ, you have any thoughts on Bernal?
I know you said Farmhands has been on him since day one. I know since we started this podcast, I always asked him Crooks or Bernal, because that's always what people want to know, and he's always said Bernal. I'm pretty sure every time I've asked him, I've probably asked him about 3 times, so much that he's probably got annoyed of me asking the same question. But you got to ask what the people want to know, and I was even part of that. Like, I was wondering if anything changes, because things change in prospects. Like, if that wasn't true, the rankings would never change. People wouldn't be passing other guys. Yeah, I really like Bernal too. Especially if you're saying it sounds like he's basically a Pajas that doesn't strike out as much and hits for a little better average. So, I mean, at minimum, he's a great backup catcher. At minimum.
Yeah.
TZ, I don't think I'm ever going to ask you a question about Leonardo Bernal again.
Why?
He is a much better hitter than Pedro Pajes is. I can't believe you just said a little bit better. He is a much better hitter than Pedro Pajes is.
The only reason I didn't say that too is because, like, he hasn't been up here yet. Like,
Okay,
you gotta see it up here.
That's fair.
He probably is a better hitter. I mean, probably most of our top 30 hitting prospects are better than Pedro Pajes. We might have 5 catchers that are better hitters than Pedro Pajes in the minors. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. You never know until they come up.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if they're gonna get Bernal a debut, though, it's gonna have to be at the expense of one of their catchers, whether that's Jimmy Crooks, saying, "Hey, brother, you didn't figure it out up here. Like, you got to go back down to AAA," or if that's jettisoning Pedro Pajes, and saying, "Thank you for your time, Pedro, but we don't need it anymore. You're not really serving any purpose on this team at this point. Like, go find go. You can go latch on with another team. I'm sure there's other teams that need solid backup catchers. I know." Mo himself said they need a catcher, in Anaheim that, knows how to handle a young pitching staff. Like, Pedro could definitely go help a team like that figure it out. So,
I don't think you'd cut him though. Like, because what if Bernal or Crooks gets hurt? That could kind of screw up the team a little bit. So I feel like you almost have to keep him for at least catching depth, especially after Pozo's gone.
Yeah, but
But
I don't know where you'd even put him, right? Like unless you kept him at the major league level. Like it very
he
well
probably
might
has
be.
options, I'm sure.
I don't think so.
Somebody else has options though. You could send somebody like Torres
Yeah.
down, or
Yeah,
Well, you're not going to
there
keep four
are other
catchers on the
options.
team,
yeah.
but
I doubt they're gonna run four catchers. That'd be kind of
Yeah,
weird.
yeah.
or they could always send Prieto back down. I mean,
I
that's
just don't
always an
think you see
option.
Bernal this year. That's just too much.
That's fair.
I think there would be a catching move this off season,
Okay.
and then you see Bernal next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let him keep developing down there. I got a question real quick. Do you like you said Bernal started off slow? Do you think some of it was because like Crooks was down there and maybe like I don't know who was getting the majority of the starts, but I would guess Crooks was.
It
Do you
was it
think
was more
that
of a
had a
50-50 split, and
okay?
that very well could be a little bit of the factor because like there for the first month he started off slow, but he was only catching 50% of the time. Then they would like throw him at DH the other 25%, and then first base. And ever since
Yeah.
then, he's pretty much played exclusively catcher since Crooks got called up. So, I mean, it could have been just positional, you know, knowing what the position is. Like, he had never played
He's
first base in his life. So, like,
yeah. He's getting more of a routine.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think part of it's also, I mean, he was having to adjust to AAA pitching. I mean, AAA pitching is better than AA pitching, obviously. So I think it's a mixture of both, like getting adjusted to AAA pitching while also, trying to get back into a routine of being a catcher full time. But
Mm, yeah.
boys, I don't have anything else.
Me neither.
Not for this episode.
All right. Well, that does it here for us on Redbirds on the Arch. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. If you're listening on Spotify, make sure you follow us on there. It means everything to us. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to us. Make sure you also comment on the videos. If there's something you want to talk about or listen to, make sure you let us know. But yeah, other than that, thank you for listening here on Redbirds on the Arch.